Hi everyone, welcome to Green Apple Books on the Park. Oh, it fills my heart with so much joy to see such a full room out here for Sarah. Welcome to Green Apple. My name is Car Johnson. I'm the event coordinator here. And tonight I am honored and delighted to welcome Sarah Ghazal Ali for the launch of her debut collection, Theophanies. I'm so happy to see each and every one of you here, and there are so many flowers. Good job, way to go, they're beautiful. And you're all flowers too, don't worry about it. Sarah is joined tonight by the wonderful Zeina Hashem Beck. Let's give a hand for Zeina. This is very exciting. I've been really looking forward to this collection, and I'm so excited to have both of you here to celebrate it, and all of you as well. Thank you for joining us in person and also online. Hello, online audience. We appreciate you as well. We are broadcasting from San Francisco. We are on unceded Ramaytush Ohlone land, and we hope that you join us in our pledge to turn land acknowledgement into action by donating either your time or monetary means to an Indigenous organization each time you hear a land acknowledgement. I have very brief business before we get to the heart of the evening. Now's a good time to silence your cell phones if you have not already. I would say picture taking is encouraged. Is that okay? Yeah, we got a thumbs up. So yeah, good. Please. So yeah, this is Sarah's book launch, so we should have plenty of pictures taken. I think it's pretty important. Please do check out our full event calendar on our website at greenapplebooks.com. We have a really great season ahead of us. The restroom is behind me. It is available after the event and not during the event for obvious reasons. If you need to know how to get there, let me know and I'll gladly direct you there. We have books from both of our poets available at the front register. You can find them there. If you've been here before, you've definitely heard me say that when you buy books from us, not only do you support us as an independent bookstore, you support the writers who put so much work into making these books, and then you get to have a book, which might be the best part. So if you are able, we always appreciate it. And I have a feeling a lot of people in here may have pre-ordered Theophanies, which is great. Good job. That's always helpful. But I'm sure you have a friend who also needs a copy of it, so keep that in mind too. I'm kind of joking. Okay. This evening we're going to hear some work from both of our poets. Then Sarah and Zeina will have a bit of a conversation, followed by audience Q&A and a signing line after that. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first poet. Zeina Hashem Beck is a Lebanese poet and the author of 2 previous full-length collections of poetry, Louder Than Hearts, To Live in Autumn, and most recently, O. She is also, along with Ghazal Ali, the poet Farah Chama of Maskuda, a podcast about Arabic poetry. After a lifetime in Lebanon and a decade in Dubai, Zeina recently moved to California with her family. Please give a hand for Zeina Hashem Beck. Okay. Yeah, you're going to read first. Okay. But I'm going to introduce Sarah right now.
I think I might have been early, but...
No, you're doing great.
Okay.
You're perfect.
Thank you.
But I am going to introduce Sarah.
Yes.
You got it. Okay. All right. I'm also happy to introduce Sarah Ghazal Ali's poems and essays have appeared in Poetry, American Poetry Review, The Rumpus, Hayden's Fair Review, and elsewhere. She is the editor-in-chief of Palette Poetry, poetry editor for West Branch, and a 2022-2023 Stadler Fellow at Bucknell University. Her collection, Theophanies, was selected as Editor's Choice for the 2022 Alice James Award, and it is the reason we're here tonight. Let's give a hand for Sarah.
Let's go, Sarah!
So, Sarah isn't as fidgety as me, so she wants to sit and read. I can't sit and read, I'm sorry. How do we do this?
I would offer to help, but I will break it.
I just want to I wanted to do this. This. Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Cara. Thank you so much. Okay, hi everyone. I'm so happy, first of all, Alf Mabruk again for Sarah's Theophanies. Let's give it another. So happy to be celebrating this beautiful, gorgeous book. I have my copy. It's at home. I forgot it at home, but I've spent the last 3 days reading it. It really is stunning. Please buy it, please gift it, please order it, and Sarah's here to sign it today. So, yeah. I'm going to read a poem from O and a new poem. And I asked Sarah, should I ode to the afternoon or should I ode to my husband? And she said, ode to your husband. So I'm like, I'm going to do that. This is ode to my husband who brings the music. I've left him for 10 days. I just got back to California, so I kind of miss him. So. There are more windows in the new house. So much light. The living room feels weightless. On weekends, I find you staring out into the garden from the sofa. You always wake before me. Go downstairs and start playing a song on your phone. Sometimes it's new. More often, it's not. And always it works. The memory. When we carved the olive tree near our school, we could barely see the letters. But after our names buried inside it, a name is a wound, is a song. So what you're really doing is calling me. From what? Sleep. You warned I eat my days too fast, or perhaps it was too slow. You once asked, what happened? A balding head, a bank account. Somewhere, a boy with a black fringe kicks a football and eats figs straight from the tree. I repeat the story of my fear of fig trees, how my parents said the wind from the branches could blind me. No such thing, you shrug. Half of our hometowns thought our marriage was a sin, a mistake at least. There were phone calls, there was hanging up, years of silence. And though we were not a revolution, we were at least a questioning. Last week, you almost dialed my old over and over again in all my school books. House with roof tiles, with chimney, with lake. Simple, geometric house I never colored in. But look how resilient the future is. How I underestimated the importance of big windows, of the calm sea of you. I don't know at what age we learned to dread happiness. Our first slow dance was in a family club called Union, in a town too small. We had no flow, still have none. Unless you consider this, me in bed, not ready for the morning yet, and you downstairs, bringing the music. I have one more poem. So I've been writing these sonnets that are also palindromes, so I kind of read them top to bottom and then invert them and read them in reverse. This is for Palestine, and it's titled Sea Turtle Sonnet, and if it's after a song by Kairoki. Some of you might know it, Tilka Qadiya. And the first few lines, I borrow from the language of this song, and the first few lines of this song goes, he saves sea turtles and kills human animals. That is a cause, and that is another. I also refer to Ziyad. Ziyad is a reference to Ziyad Rahbani, who's a playwright and a musician, and his plays were often satires of Beirut and the civil war. He's Lebanese, so I also refer to him in this sonnet, Sea Turtle Sonnet after Kairoki. Our parents stayed during the civil war. Don't say we escaped, just that we too failed. We left Beirut on the verge of collapse and revolution. That clearing of hope. Where would we be without it? Ask Ziad, who put the city on a stage and laughed at its slow ways of killing us with pills or memory. So many of us scream in concerts and sleep. When in doubt, try Kuhl. The artist with Cairo in his name sings, that's a cause, my friend, and that's another. Save sea turtles and ignore oppression. Poppies. When the dark times come, try yoga. Don't say we betrayed, just that we too feared. Don't say we betrayed, just that we too feared, poppies. When the dark times come, try yoga, save sea turtles and ignore oppression. That's a cause, my friend, and that's another. The artist with Cairo in his name sings in concerts and sleep. When in doubt, try Kuhl or memory. So many of us scream at its slow ways of killing us with pills. Who put the city on a stage and laughed? Where would we be without it? Ask Ziad and revolution, that clearing of hope. We left Beirut on the verge of collapse. Don't say we escaped, just that we too failed our parents, stayed during the Civil War. Thank you. Now Sarah.
Is this okay? Should I Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'm very graceful.
This is good luck. This is good luck in our culture. I'm making shit up. I don't know. It's good luck.
So I was originally sitting because I have absolutely no grace and no control over my body, and I demonstrated that regardless. So that's good. Okay.
I mean, but don't you love her like golden dress?
Oh yeah.
Grace or no grace, you know, just that golden dress.
I have to make it memorable. Okay, this works. This is good. Okay. Thank you all so much for being here. You could be anywhere on a Wednesday night and you chose to be here, and that means so much to me. Thank you. Just thank you so much. And thank you too for witnessing the good and the embarrassing, just all of it. I'll read a few poems from my book, which still feels very surreal to say, and then Zeina and I will talk for a bit. Thank you. Self-portrait as Epiphany. Is this good? Can people in the back hear me okay? Okay.
Her family has Theophanies sweaters, by the way. It's so cool.
We love merch. Self-portrait as Epiphany. I thought myself a child. The river revealed me a basket. Within a doomed girl grew and groomed. When came the bush, I knew to burn. To sheer errant tongues probing the cage. Mother sang of deliverance. Father prayed for a son. I revised myself a daughter. Renounced duty. Rolled stones down my throat. In a dream, the angel reveals me a book. I learn myself grime among false gods. Unashamed, I cramp. Between my legs, a clot. From a clot, I'll make men. Hollow myself wholly. Nothing laughs like me. Brittle, brutish, a woman baring her teeth. So a lot of the poems in Theophanies emerged from this obsession that I have with my namesake, Sarah, who many know as the wife of the prophet Abraham or Ibrahim. And I just cannot get over the fact that in a number of traditions, the story goes that when God tells her that she's going to have a child in her old age, she laughs in disbelief. And I've been haunted by that laughter for a long time. And yeah, a lot of the poems begin and end with Sarah, and then also her counterpart or foil of sorts, Hajar. This is temporal. At 5, my father shows me a color-coded model of the brain. We take it apart together, piece by heavy plastic piece. Blue, temporal lobe, burrowed within a red bean. The amygdala. Like a seed? Yes, he laughs, where feelings bud. I picture current anger, pleasure amassing in brick and berry, and fear as a clotting kind of dark, the first prick of blood on a thumb. I unlimb my dolls, braid and section their stiff hair. I scratch their painted eyes, chide them for their lack of anything occipital. I've seen it, pried open the skulls, found them empty. I wish I could be taken apart. Thank what keeps me alive inside. Amygdala from almond, the precise shape of our eyes, mine and his identical, but for his laugh lines. To live is to see but the walls of my body, flesh the furthest point from the formless God my father never joins me in believing. Each spring he tends fervently his garden, coaxes to life new green. Genesis splits the earth anew. Decreed in old age to bear a son, my namesake trusted the parts she couldn't see. The buds God insisted were there, whole nations within her. From beyond scripture, she returns to crawl through my throat. Her involuntary sound, a revelation. I'm frightened. I'm awestruck. She lingers in the periphery, shaded behind doors. Faith a legacy of echoes. Every echo a reflection of voice. I still hear her laughter. What I know is the brain's doing. What I believe bewilders me. Annunciation. My pillaged body is not as interesting as my virginal sisters, I know. Your books efface me, dismiss me as naturally lacking. So my hair has long since grayed, cropped short, held back under a matronly veil. I sent my husband to bed another woman. I'm nobler for it. I allowed a slight to get the ball rolling. By moonlight, I grieved the perpetual blood marbling red and black down my thighs. They visited me first, you know. God and 2 angels, they came with glad tidings, announced I would flower with a boy. But all you remember is what came next. I hung my head and laughed. When God at last conferred my body with fruit, the angels raised their yellow wings. They broke bread. I listened until I heard a great humming. A child, a ripe boy I might mother. The hive coming to me after all I'd done, what else inside to offer at the moment of absolution but a flash of sound? I knew I wasn't favored, but damned. My whole long life I'd been groomed to unfurl for the coming of bees. I knew when I passed, he would go back to her and you to your matter day, your lily among thorns. After all this, knowing I'd be written over, a vessel forgettable but for a moment of sonic lapse, tell me, what would you have done? So this next poem is a contrapuntal, which can be read multiple different ways. So I will read it 3 ways and read the title each time. And so you can kind of see what it looks like. There's 2 columns. Matrilineage umbilicus. The first inheritance, where you detach from an undug grave. In one language named Eve, the period preceding. But origin can't be an oculus, my abdomen rounded, from navel to sex, text appeared, Aleph, Abjad, mammalian, I did not want this. It appeared, from figment, witness. Matrilineage umbilicus. A puncture wound, your mother, call it provenance. Havva, life source. Some say wife or mother of. Tethered to consequence, doomed to gape before a mirror. A line appeared, linea nigra. The first letter, Aleph, inferred. I, matriline. Look how I multiplied. I bore your body. Matrilineage umbilicus. The first inheritance, a puncture wound, where you detach from your mother. An undug grave, call it provenance, in one language named Havva, life source, Eve, the period preceding. Some say wife or mother of, but origin can't be tethered to consequence. An oculus doomed to gape before a mirror. My abdomen rounded, a line appeared from navel to sex, linea nigra, text appeared, Aleph the first letter, Abjad, Aleph inferred. Mammalian, I, matriline. I did not want this. Look how it appeared. I multiplied from figment. I bore witness, your body. I'll read just a couple more. O Gabriel. O umbilical mesh, apogee of angels, O ungendered and sexless courier, O jagged nail fattening on his finger, O arch and archive, O bush ablaze, O throat, O uterine throat, O mediary of Mary, of Musa, O pillar of cloud, O brute force, O being unborn yet sent to make me see, O brilliant light, O blotting dark. God tugs at whim your corded tongue, so tilt an ear and shade me. With your heel break open a fount as you did for my sister. All my rooms are greening in weight. Pull back my falling shroud. See how well I bear the burden. A child, come sigh for once in me. This last poem is one that I didn't publish anywhere, and it lives exclusively in the book, and it's one that makes me very emotional, so sorry in advance if I cry, but just with all that's happening in Gaza and the relentless, horrible, ongoing just onslaught of death and cruelty, I've been thinking constantly about what it is we owe to our martyrs and what it is we owe to the people that are gone and still dehumanized and forgotten and thrown away in certain ways. So I included a poem in this book about Nabra Hassanan, who was murdered in Virginia in 2017. And I just wanted to treat someone that I consider a martyr with sweetness instead and imagine something beautiful. When Nabra Hassanan wakes up in Jannah, she will peer at the back of her hands, now translucent with the bluish quality of a body observed underwater. Nabra Hassanan will see the blood swirling just beneath her skin, and it will be a sweetness to her eyes. Nabra Hassanan will be surrounded by the trees she spent a brief lifetime earning, glory be to Allah. Do they still accumulate after death, after the new and final beginning? All praise is to Allah. Nabra Hassanan will test these words and all others, look around for a sudden spurting of limbs and leaves, and hum with delight when her gaze is granted at last immediate reward. There will be no need for hijab here, no men with appraising eyes, no reason to ever again face rage. Nabra Hassanan will walk and reach for fruit, remembering her mother, all those years knifing berries into ordinary bowls. Nabra Hassanan will see again her mother's 2 hands pulling apart a pomegranate, teaching her that each orb houses 1 blessed seed from a tree in Jannah. Nabra Hassanan will hope to find her beyond those trees, among others, resting in the sweet shade of mercy. Nabra Hassanan will be scared that the miracle might end, that the garden might sense her boundless human wants. Nabra Hassanan will float along, buoyed by the 1,000 still earthbound who bent in congregation at her janazah. God is greater, she will laugh. Nabra Hassanan will never be asked again to qualify, to answer, then what? Nor will she remember how she arrived. Thank you. Sorry. Sorry. Okay. Alright. Okay. Or move. Or fall. Yes. Good for me.
So yeah, thank you for this beautiful reading. I wanted to start by asking you to maybe tell us about the title, Theophanies, which I am ashamed to say I've Googled what Theophanies means. I speak 3 languages, okay, so like I get lost. And it means, when God manifests to, humans, in Arabic, al-wahi. So, and there are 2 poems titled Theophanies, and they kind of frame the book. One of them is almost at the beginning, and the other one is the penultimate poem, I think. So I'm just wondering, how you arrived at this arrangement of these 2 poems framing the book, and also at the title, because I'm always interested, titles are hard, so yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I think pretty much everyone that I tell, I wrote a book and this is what it's called, everyone's like, what on earth is that? Which excites me because
yes.
I feel like when I was younger and was a new reader, the things that I loved about reading was coming across a word or something that I didn't know and then getting to look it up. I feel like
yes,
I approach reading from a place of such curiosity. So I love when someone tells me they had to Google something. I don't remember exactly when I came across this word, theophany, and then in the plural theophanies, but I
not
still...
on sweaters?
The sweaters came later. I still have my notebook from grad school where I wrote theophanies in all caps and circled it a bunch of times.
Oh, so that was, okay.
I came up, a while ago.
Okay.
It was early on in the process, but so it's the kind of term that it's not an Islamic concept so much as it is, this word comes up a lot in Catholicism and in Christianity overall. I feel like if you Google it, a lot of stuff about the Bible comes up. But that concept of a physical manifestation of God, or the way that God reveals himself to humans, was immediately captivating to me, because I think everything that I've been writing about and continue to write about is longing for God's presence in my life, and not even just that, but an acknowledgement from God that I too am here. Mm-hmm. I feel like I just want a sign. Sight unseen, believing in what doesn't give you a sign, what isn't there, and then also trying to believe that everything is a sign. So
which I think the book conveys really well.
Oh, I'm glad. Thank you.
Yeah,
it's for sure. Yeah, and so it feels like the kind of titles, when I was stuck when I write, I just put Theophanies at the top of the page, and just right from there. So really a lot of these poems started out titled Theophanies and later found their truer titles. It just felt so all-encompassing. And the two poems in the book that did keep the title are ones where I think the Theophanies towards the end of the book talks about a dream, so maybe more literally some sort of sign in a dream. Like how do you interpret that? What is that? And then the one that's towards the beginning of the book, I went back and forth with either titling it Revelation or titling it Theophanies. But that one is, again, thinking about Annunciation and if a sign were to reach me, what would I do with it? How would I respond? And at the end of the day, I think what it comes down to is just accepting it and saying, may it be done to me, whatever it is, whatever God's will is.
Yeah, and I kind of want to move from that to the dedication. What do you call it? That the dedication, right? Like right after the title, the dedication is to the mother line, which I find beautiful because usually, when you Google theophany, like God's manifestation to man, you're assuming in your head a male, and one of your poems, I think I wrote it down here somewhere, is where is it? Well, I'm gonna very clumsily paraphrase you. In one of your lines, you say that God always reveals Himself to men, right? And then right after this theophany title, there's to the mother line. So there's the heavy presence of women and mothers in this dedication, but also throughout the book. And I feel like this dedication has so much in it. Inheritance, motherhood, but also the line is not just inheritance, but also for me, like writing, like the line. And a lot of this intersects in the book, right? Faith, writing, motherhood, etc. So if you can just talk a little bit about how you subvert this expectation in the book. And I feel that there's so many kind of religious, biblical, women from the Quran, from the Bible, from the Torah mentioned throughout the book, but especially Sarah, your namesake, Hajar, and Maryam, Mary, and Maria Magdalena. These four especially. So if you could talk a little bit about that kind of obsession with them and, how you came to it. Yeah. I find that to be a beautiful subversion of what you expect from a very patriarchal faith, right?
Yeah. I think I've never had that feeling of I wish one of the prophets was a woman, or I wish that, more women were named in the Quran. I've never had a particular concern with that, but for me, it was when a family member sent my family tree going generations back in our family WhatsApp, and if you are very practicing, the technical thing to do is to exclude women's names from family trees because it's part of their aura, and so it's something to be kept hidden and concealed and not erased necessarily, but just kept in a certain way. And so she sent that, and I was so excited to go through it and to find my mother's name, my grandmother's name, mine. And then I was devastated when mine wasn't there and no women's names were there. There were just these kind of blank spots where the names would be. And I had a crisis, and then a couple hours later she sent another one separately that did have the women's names, but the damage had already been done to me.
And you have a beautiful poem in this collection. It's matrilineage.
Recovered, that one. The family tree one.
No, the one before it. So she has a poem that's really cool. That's a family tree with only women. So you omit the men. That's matrilineage.
Parthenogenesis. That one.
What's that word?
Parthenogenesis.
That word. Which means asexual reproduction. As if the women are giving birth by themselves. And it's a beautiful, the poem is literally like a family tree with only women in it. And of course also biblical. So I think that's also, now it makes sense. Okay, this is where it comes from. Okay.
Yeah, it was an actual family tree that has just haunted me ever since.
Yeah.
And so I think, the matriline is what I can't get over it. I can't get past it. And I was also raised, without any grandmothers. And so that absence has always already been very palpable to me. And seeing it on paper, in a document, in an archival document, just really cemented it even further. And after that, I knew that even if I couldn't find women's names in my own personal archive or in scripture or in the places where one would reach for that kind of information for comfort, I don't think it's useful to like rail against things and say like, oh, I wish this had been different. Instead, I like, for me creatively, what's useful is to then speculate in other ways or to imagine otherwise through my work. And so I set out to write all these poems that do focus on the women, that do turn to the women, the mothers of sacred history, and the women in my own family that I don't know too much about or haven't had access to, and not write over them or write for them, but kind of step into persona and explore like what it is for them to be mothers, for them to be believers, for them to submit to God's will or submit to men, and like what kind of agency might they have had, what did it look like, and also by stepping into their persona, what does that reveal about me, Sara, like in a line of many other women, and what can I learn about myself, Sara, when I think about my namesake, Sara. And so I think that's something that feels really important too, is that towing that line of not writing over someone, but trying to figure out who I am as a writer and as a Sara by considering them. And I think everything else already focuses in this world on the patriarchal line. You know, our children take their father's names, we take our husband's names, etc., etc. Like, it's all already built into everything, and so I'm more interested in what I can do with women and for women and toward women in my work. And so the only fitting thing was to dedicate it to the mother line.
And I like that idea that you're not writing over them, or like you're kind of figuring out things about yourself as well through these persona poems. That, yeah, I really like that idea. Thank you. One beautiful, I just have random lines here that I'm obsessed with. So one beautiful line, I just want to repeat it because I love it, is, I have a theory about mirrors that I won't risk repeating. The women in me already know. It's a beautiful, beautiful, way to express that. And I also want to ask a little bit about faith. Obviously, faith is like a big, theme in this collection, and I love how it becomes your personal kind of faith. Like it becomes, I don't know, it becomes so open to interpretation. And not just this thing, you're opening it to interpretation while also belonging to it. I love the opening poem. The opening poem starts like the ma'udhat in the Quran, Qul. The opening poem repeats, Qul, Qul, Qul huwa Allahu ahad, Qul a'udhu. For those of you who know, Qul is say, speak, So the poem starts like the Quran, which is very like, wow, okay, great. It's a beautiful poem. So there's obviously a kind of, I would say, reimagining, reinterpreting, opening up of the faith while also belonging to it, right? And I feel like, yeah, I get that. Makes sense. But I was wondering if you ever thought about being pigeonholed in a certain way by an American audience. Sometimes an American audience is like, so what are you? Like, is it like, so what? Do you like Islam? Do you not like Islam? Right? Which, I would never ask because I'm not American. But, kidding. But have you, I guess the serious question is, when you were writing this, were you thinking about audience, thinking about reaction, all of that, which I think a lot of us think about when we write these kind of poems?
Well, thank you for that question, because that's something that I'm thinking a lot about now that the book's actually out in the world and it's being received by people. I have no control over who reviews it or who leaves it a Goodreads review or an Amazon, whatever. I have no control anymore, and so how it's read is just kind of how it's read. But Yeah, I think that's what's so difficult is, like, for example, people are constantly talking about the ghazals in the book, and that's what everyone immediately goes to, and that's what I want to shy away from. But everyone wants to talk about the ghazals, but they're what I feel a lot of discomfort around because it's so close and it's so personally important for me to get a ghazal right that I recognize that the ghazals in the book don't live up to my own standards of what a ghazal is.
They don't have rhyme,
yeah,
but they're beautiful.
Thank you.
They're
Your
gorgeous.
ghazals are beautiful.
So they're kind of broken ghazals, right?
Yes.
But yeah, they're beautiful. So I would understand. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Yeah,
but
because it's, you know, if you speak more than one language as you do, you are more aware of what's missing in one language and what gaps there are. And it feels the same way when you're in a faith and then trying to, you know, like the project of representation.
Yes.
That's a really tough spot to be in, and it's a responsibility I don't want. I don't think that I speak for all Muslims. I don't want to speak for all Muslims or all women or all anything. So for me, I think I couldn't think about audience at all, or I would have constantly been over explaining myself in the poems,
or censoring maybe,
myself definitely. Because I think I had to come to terms with the fact that the people who this is written for will get it and will understand because they have similar reckoning to do with their faith, and the people who don't get it, and that's okay. They're not who I was writing for. But I think with faith, one, I feel like it's very unpopular to write about faith, and people also, I think the general assumption over the past few years is that it's also less intelligent to explore your faith because, you know, it's so woo-woo and it's so out there and, you know, God and the soul and all of that. And I feel like it's just not well received. And even though there are more poets of faith writing now, I feel like the criticism hasn't caught up, you know?
Yes, I know. Yes.
And so I think the most important thing for me when writing about faith is sitting in discomfort and saying, like, it's okay to not declare something or to say that it should be this way or it should be that way or this is right and this is wrong, this is black and this is white, because that doesn't do anything. That's not generative, that's not interesting. I think the real magic and the real creative work happens when you sit with ambivalence or just sit in the in-between, like I was saying earlier. And just say, I don't know.
Or in the contrapuntal, like your contrapuntals, right? Yeah. Like, so many of these poems, like the contrapuntal that she's just read, operate on so many levels. And that, I feel, is a reflection of that kind of mentality of, I will resist definition. I will resist giving you a definite answer, which I think the book does really kind of fangirling. I also love how faith is interlinked with eroticism as well. Like the revelation is like God entering as well the body, and you do it very beautifully and like gracefully in the poem. So that is yet another way in which like you resist like a black and white definition of what revelation or theophany or faith is. Yeah. So I think now it's time. I think we have like maybe 10 minutes for Q&A if anyone would like to ask questions online or in the audience. Yes?
Okay, so as authors, when you were writing your book, I'm sure that you wrote like other poems outside of what was published in your book. How did you decide what made it and what didn't make it in?
That's the hardest part, I feel like, with putting together a book, is sorting through all of the material that you have. But for me, I had a very specific intention in mind, which was that people tend to read debut books, first books, as autobiographical by default. And I don't like that, and I don't want someone to pick up something that I wrote and to assume that they are reading my personal story or my diary. I'm very resistant to that. So the way that I took poems out was if it felt like I wrote it as a catharsis of some kind or to get some sort of personal emotion out or deal with something that was very personal, then it didn't belong in the book. I took it out. And if I felt like it was doing something on a larger scale that would, actually resonate with other people who aren't living in my head, then I considered keeping it in the book. So that was one of the big ways that I separated. And then there were a lot of poems that I took out because I realized they did kind of fit when I asked mentors and things, but I got the sense that I could write like 50 more poems in that particular direction. So it seems like that was project 2 or a different book starting to come out. And though I felt really sad about it, because a lot of those poems have been published online or in journals and people have really enjoyed them, I was like, oh, people like this and probably are expecting that it's going to be in the book, and it isn't. So that was another thing that helped me narrow it down, is maybe this belongs to a different project, and maybe this was just something that I need to hold on to and the world doesn't need to see.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes?
I agree with you that debut books tend to be read autobiographically, but can you say more about why you are opposed to that or resist?
Yeah, I'm a young woman of color who wears a headscarf. I'm Pakistani. Like, I feel like people look at me and already are projecting so many assumptions on me constantly. I don't ever have to open my mouth, and people on the street just think they know 50 different things about me. And so there's a certain way that I have to be on guard constantly, and I don't want to have that kind of mentality in my own head when I'm looking at my work, and I don't want to have conversations that are really autobiographical about my work either. So it's kind of keeping that separate, and intentionally, at the very least with this first book, I don't know what will happen with future books. It was a way of kind of trying from the get-go to shape the conversation to a certain degree, and to have a little bit of control over what is assumed about me in my professional and creative space, because I have no control in other spaces, if that makes sense. And also sometimes when people just say things and are very intense about it and dismissive about it, I'm like, okay, I take that as a challenge then. I will not do what you think I'm going to do. I'm also just very competitive, so there's something there too.
Yes?
Hi. First, thank you so much. Your work is so beautiful.
Thank you.
My question was about your writing process for poetry. Like, how do you make it into what you've made it?
Thank you for being here. I have a really weird, really obsessive writing process. I have to have like 10 to 15 books at my desk with me. I just need, it's like a huge mess, and I have to just rifle through all of those books all at once. I can't write like just me and a piece of paper and nothing else is there. I need a bunch of books, or I need to have like some JSTOR PDF open on my laptop. I need a lot of source material, and I just kind of rifle, and then if there's a poem that my eye is just repeatedly drawn to, or if there's a word that I find really interesting and is kind of unlocking something in my brain, I just kind of start jotting things down from there. It's kind of theft. My process begins with theft in a way, where I need to use other people's shiny objects and collect them. And then from there, hopefully something will click. Because it's more of, like, I'll have an energy, like, oh, today I need to write something. Like, there's something buzzing, but I don't know what it is, because I've never begun a poem knowing exactly what it is that I want to say or write about. I think poetry is a process of discovery for me. So it's beginning with someone else's something, and then just kind of following that and seeing where it goes. And I'm very strange in that I cannot get up from the desk, even if 8-9 hours have passed, until the feeling is gone or until the poem becomes a thing on the page. I don't like like just jotting down like dashing off a draft and then leaving it and then coming back to it. I need to feel some sort of sense of completion. And I will come back to it later, but it's a really intense, like, you cannot interrupt me or I'll bite your head off, and I just need to sit there with my mess and
Well, your
thoughts.
book is called Theophanies, so like
There's something magical there for sure.
Right?
There's some sort of you receive, I feel like, more than.
I don't think it's theft. I think, and I'm only saying that because, I attended last week a class with Gabby Calvacaresi, who was pushing against this idea of we steal. I think what you do, and I might be completely wrong, but I think it's like filling the air, filling your head, filling the room with poetry. It's kind of that, and I'm only saying that because I don't want y'all to steal. Don't steal.
No plagiarism. It's very different.
Okay, and don't steal because But so yeah, I think we think of it as theft, but it's more like filling that, like entering that space, right? Like listening, right?
Yeah. And there's that bird too. I think the magpie that collects bits from other birds' nests or other random objects and builds its nest out of that. So I think of that too, where everything emerges in response. I don't think I can get anything by myself. I feel like it's always responding to something else. So maybe not theft so much as responding to all of the voices in my little desk community.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We have an online question?
Yes. So this is from our online audience. Now that the book has been written, it is permanent. However, your feelings or beliefs that are eternally inscribed in the book may change after the fact. Did you write with that in mind? And if so, did you include what you did to stand alone and stand the test of time? Or do you anticipate it aging and being superseded by what you write in the future?
Good luck.
That's a question.
Have you written the final poem?
Wow. I don't know if I have an answer to this, but what I can say is that I'm having a lot of trouble writing beyond this book because I keep wanting to write more poems titled Theophanies or more poems about Sarah, about Hajar, especially Hajar. I feel like I could just keep going, and so I don't even know if I can say that this is done or that I believe it could ever be done or that the things that I'm troubled by, consumed by, writing towards, I don't think that it's ever finished. I think it's Paul Valéry who says that a poem isn't finished, it's abandoned. And so it feels like I have abandoned this and just relinquished it to the world. And as for what I might think, I can't even begin to imagine what it might feel like to not be consumed by this and still living in its world. I don't have enough space yet to imagine being months or years even beyond it, looking back at it. But yeah, I don't know. I hope that, if anything, I hope that I can come to terms with any conflict there might be between future me, Sarah the writer, and the 7 years of Sarah who wrote this. I think there are contradictory poems in this book too, because it was written over such a long span of time. And again, my whole thing is just sit in the discomfort, and I'll keep on practicing that and hope that future Sarah can still do that.
And I think we write, it's okay to be obsessed with something and keep writing about it. Like, we don't have to invent new. So if there are new Sarah poems and new Hajar poems and new Maryam poems, I think follow that. Like, I think we all have obsessions. I always say, this is the last poem I will write about Lebanon, and then So I think that's okay to write toward our obsessions, right? And can I ask, is it okay if I ask something? So I want you to, because you mentioned Hajar, and
Sure. An epistle, which is a poem written in the form of a letter. So in this poem, it's in the voice of Hajar, so it's also a persona poem. Hajar is speaking and writing back to Ibrahim after he left her in the desert. Epistle, Hajar. Agate, alyssum, apricot. Simple pleasures I can still pronounce. Well-walked path to drinkable water. I hesitate to ask for answers, remembering the others forsaken in a basket, garden, well. There's no one left to write to, but I'd tell of the tree, its sweet shade at high noon, the untorn snakeskin I found while digging for wetness in the sand. Against the crude mountains, you're turned back, whittled down by my calls. I've learned to call want from weight, to walk until water appears.
Beautiful. Card, do we have time for more? One more? One last question. Yes.
It's very interesting that you asked how to read that poem because that sort of like influenced my question about the narrative of Ajar and the documented historical narratives of displacement of women through the spiritual and the biblical, the Quranic text. So I wanted to ask if this book is a protest against that, or if it's actually like a book that sort of like just documents that in itself.
I think I don't fully know. I think there's so many layers to it that maybe I haven't fully unpacked myself, but I think first and foremost, in the book, am trying to figure out where I fit in a line of believing women. That is the primary task, I would say, in the way that the women are portrayed and amplified. I don't know if protest is the word that I would use so much as amplification, or maybe even just a clearing of space for, if there is a gap, if there is an absence, what does it look like to write around that absence? And again, not try to fill it, but to poke at it, to probe at it, and try to understand who was there and who might have been there and what is lost because they aren't. And so I don't know if it's protest, maybe not protest yet. I don't know if that's something that comes later for me, or if it's just reckoning with absence and erasure and exclusion. Yeah, I think just touching it for now, touching what that whole looks like.
Yeah. Thank you. Go buy the book.
We give one more hand to Sarah. I'm so appreciative of you both. Thank you for letting us be a part of this book's journey. I so appreciate it. Thank you all for coming out to celebrate. Zeina, thank you for your thoughtful questions and close reading. I am just here to say, yay, please do buy books. But if they're at the front register, you can find them there, not at the back desk. But we are going to have Sarah signing at the back desk where my colleague Brendan is. Wave to the people, Brendan. And so if you need to know where to go, I'll gladly tell you. And if not, we will see you next time. Thank you so much.
And can I say something?
Yes.
Come next Thursday.
Yeah.
Me and Dima and Arwa Al-Samrai will be launching an anthology called We Call to the Eye in the Night, love poems by poets of Arab heritage. It's a beautiful one.
Also buy Zeina's beautiful O. It's if you think you like my poetry, just wait. Seriously.
Thank you both. Yay, thank you so much.
So much.